Hey guys, I'm back to talk about another English 102 project, and this was the archival research project. Basically, what we had to do was find an artifact from the 1940s or earlier and do research on it by using primary resources, and these could be newspaper articles, letters, books, anything like that, but they had to be from the 1940s or earlier. For my object, I chose a mounted bear head that belongs to my grandparents, and I picked it because my grandfather told me a pretty interesting story about it, and that it was brought home from the taxidermist on December 7th, 1941, the same day that Pearl Harbor was attacked. I felt like this bear head really represented an important turning point for the country, so I thought I would research a little bit more about what life was like before the attack on Pearl Harbor and how it changed afterwards. At first, I wasn't having a lot of luck using the resources I was using, so I decided to just Google historical newspapers, and I came across a database from the University of Pennsylvania of historical newspapers. On that database, I found a couple articles from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette and one or two from the Carolina Times from Durham, North Carolina. In one article from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette from May of 1939, I found that economic conditions leading up to the attack were really poor, and this was exemplified by a miner walkout of about 400,000 miners that caused the industry to near a complete shutdown. And by this time, strikes were really common. While researching this, I found that Americans were really quite aware of the war that was breaking out in Europe and Asia at the time, and in an article from December of 1937, I found that an attack on an American battleship in China really caused Americans to dislike the Japanese and be more involved in what was going on overseas. What I found to be most interesting during my research, though, was how life changed after Pearl Harbor was attacked. According to an article from December 20th, 1941 in the Carolina Times, production for war materials really spiked, especially in tungsten production, which was necessary to make weapons. And it caused a really big need for more workers. This need for more workers translated into more opportunities for minorities to get involved in production, which is shown in another article from the same edition by an African American writer who discusses how African Americans have an opportunity to be more involved in production and gain economic equality in the country. So, in conclusion, I found through my research of these historical newspaper articles that economic conditions before the attack were really poor, that Americans were very aware of the war that was going on overseas and were very worried about what was happening, and that production increased a lot after the attack happened, which led to more openings for African Americans to gain economic equality in the country. In my opinion, it's safe to say that the country would not be the same today if the attack on Pearl Harbor had not happened. So thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you next time.